Join us as we share our experiences, strength, and hope. When the world says, give up, hope whispers, try it one more time.
What's up, Recovery fam, and welcome back to Sharing Our Stories. My name is Slim, along with Nadia Al-Jalil and Tomas Hernandez from Tribe Recovery Homes, and we've got a great guest I'll introduce to him in just a second, but you see him just full of smiles at the moment right here. I'm just teasing.
Yeah, I told him a million people anyway. Yeah.
Everybody's watching right now. But welcome back to Sharing Our Stories, fam. And this program is all about addiction and recovery. We bring folks in from here in the Mile High and all around to talk about their struggle with addiction and how they found their recovery and where they are right now in their lives. So thank you for being here for this program. Before we get started, I didn't see you guys last week for Valentine's. Oh. I didn't get to tell you both that I love you so much.
Appreciate it.
And you. Also, Karry,
Right back
I didn't get to tell you that I loved you also. So I love you guys.
Love
dearly.
you, Slim.
I love sharing in recovery with you. I mean, that was sincere.
I believed it.
Okay.
I received it. Thank you, Slim.
You were bought in.
Totally.
Thanks, man. So it's good to see you back from doing Tribe Sin City. How's everything in Vegas?
It's good, man. It's just, it's the same thing as when we started in Denver. It's the same repetitious thing. It's just part of business.
Yeah.
But this time I see it coming because
you're an expert now.
It's a replicate of
you are a recovery expert.
Well, yeah, but I mean, at the same time, when you go national, there's a lot to learn. So like you become this person that's pretty knowledgeable in the room to like the dumbest person in the room. And like when you're doing fundraising, there's some people out there that know money very, 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 very well. And then you feel very stupid.
No, you just feel a little humble.
Yeah, a little humble, and then you learn, and then, you live and learn. But, at the end of the day, even when you speak about money, it's about raising enough money for people to get a chance. Tribe and what I do is the infrastructure of not having a person have to pay to get their life back. Mm-hmm. So I have to get as much money as possible for a person not to have to pay to get their life back. Mm-hmm. I don't feel like you should have to have a monetary value in the world to save your own life.
I want to come give you a hug.
But there's a definite animal there that the world works upon. So the only way to do it is either you can cry about it and never do anything and just rest on your laurels and sit with a group of people and say, damn the man. Or you can get to know the infrastructure and the man and play in the arenas that would probably make you mad half the time or inspire you or whatever and try to figure out how to make things work for a person to walk out of incarceration or out of a tent or off the streets or out of a hospital or whatever have you, to have a second chance, not having to beg their parents again, their family, do it right,
And with Tribe, like you work primarily with people coming out of incarceration.
Yeah, pre and post incarceration, that's our jam.
Which is, there's not a lot of places that say that's just our focus.
Yeah, people have tried to do a million things with us, and I was a pre and post incarceration guy. Half the people that were most of the people, the staff, all the people that come in through the program, we got that philosophy. You drink enough, you do enough drugs, you're gonna get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's all you're gonna get.
Yeah, that's all you can get, or you're gonna die.
Jails and death.
Yeah,
institutions.
I don't. We also believe that let's get before you're completely blown out, while your mind's still working in a point to where you can actually go a different direction. Let's do it now. Let's not wait until you're sitting in a hole somewhere this close to death or been, chronically homeless for so long because everybody just kind of walked over you. Mm-hmm. And those people need help. I'm not bad-mouthing those programs, but what Tribe does is like, hey, man, you still got a fighting shot. You can get off parole. You can get off probation. You can get off supervised release. You can look at this case right. Let's go ahead and let's look at it frontwards instead of backwards. Let's fight this with action. You know what I mean? Show them what you're worth.
Show yourself what you're worth.
Exactly. Just like my man here next to me, he's one of our best, man, that came through the program. He came in, not a lot of hope, just like how we all did, and he's turned it completely around. And that's the examples that we're talking about when we're talking about Tribe is like, yeah, let's do something now. Let's not wait till later. Let's do it now. Let's do it now. Who cares what's in front of you? All right, you ain't got no money. Let's figure it out. You know what I mean? Can you work? Can you think? Can you pray? Can
Well,
you
I mean,
can you
right there is
stand up? Let's go.
two of the biggest obstacles.
Yeah.
I was incarcerated, and the second obstacle, I have no money. And you
Yeah.
guys are working with those two right there.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a really big thing, and something that I wanted to point out for Tribe, that sometimes I think that message gets missed by people listening and watching what Tribe Recovery Homes does. Mile High, I think it's time that we introduce our guest. He is Karry Matlock from Colorado Springs, and he is, as you heard, a Tribe alumni.
Yeah.
Congratulations
Thank you.
on your recovery. And
It's the only thing I ever graduated
oh man,
other than
Right.
other than a DOC sentence.
man,
You know, so yeah, it was the one thing that I really needed. You know, I'm 48 years old, and I can honestly say, other than incarceration and a few other bouts with some other athletic things in my life that I used to participate in, I've got all of probably 7 years of abstinence from any intoxicant on the planet, and right now 20 months of that belongs to this new life that I got. You know, I was introduced at a very young age, as far back as I was trying to think about it on the way over here, probably right around 7, to the first drug, which for me was nicotine, and it is a drug. There's plenty of science that speaks to the fact that if you can just, really stop using nicotine, that 75% addicts just don't ever return to active addiction. So when I quit, that went out the window too. But I started smoking cigarettes about 6, 7 years old with my sister, and we had watched my stepfather at the time roll his own cigarettes, so to speak. And what we thought back then was grass, turned out to be weed. And so we started, trying to roll the grass when nobody was looking, when we couldn't swipe a cigar or whatever, And finally, I was able to get into his cigar box and found his stash. And I knew from that point on, the first time I did it, even at that fucking age, excuse my French, sorry, even at that age, that I would not be able to not do this again tomorrow if I got a chance. And it quickly escalated. By the time I was 9, 10 years old, I was drinking alcohol as much as possible, swiping cigarettes on a daily basis, and smoking weed like I was a grown adult.
Did you get locked in the bathroom and make you smoke a pack like me?
Oh no, they held me down and make me eat them.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I had to do a whole pack of Benson Hodges.
Oh yeah, these were Winchester cigars.
All right.
You like them?
Yeah.
Let's see how much. And they turn you green smoking them, so you can imagine what they do. When they shove a half a pack of them down your throat. So, but the yucca plant looked like weed plants too. Remember?
Absolutely. You can roll those in newspapers and pretend.
Absolutely, and pretend. And even the consequences of that back then didn't turn me off. As soon as they let me up and nobody was looking, I was in my room, wiping it off, crying, and getting my little cigarette stash out from underneath the bed and opening the window and spraying, even at that young of an age. So I was addicted just like that. You know what I mean?
Smarter about it.
And they used to have this, commercials with Nancy Reagan.
Yeah.
The
War on drugs.
Yeah, the war on drugs, And I remember watching this commercial, and they had this guy running from the cops, and they would crack an egg in the frying pan and say, drugs? This is your brain on drugs.
I remember those commercials.
And it would sizzle, and at the end, it would have that guy running from the cops, and at the bottom, it would always say, nobody ever said they wanted to be a junkie when they grew up. And I always thought, I remember clear as day as we sit here, I always thought, I'll never be a junkie. Fast forward about 4 years, 5 years, and I was running with all the older cats. Well, this time my mother had been, incarcerated for, a good healthy sentence. And so they had swooped up all the rest of my family, and I knew they were going to get me, and I'd heard the horror stories on the street already about juvie, and it wasn't going to happen to me. So I dipped and dived, and I learned to live down on the river with the hobos. You know, and which was probably the worst thing, because maybe if I would have let them pick me up, maybe I would have got some treatment. But, you know, by the time I was 12, 13 years old, I was living in a place they call in Colorado Springs called Murder Park. They call it that for a reason, because weekly, you know, there's a murder down there still to date. And it's still a bad place for people, you know. And I still see kids my age that were my age down there, still living down there on that river, you know. Yeah. And so, you know, about 13, I was pretty impressionable. And, you know, I was stealing and robbing and hustling best I could to get anything I could. And a couple of these dudes I wasn't aware of, but these guys are some sexual predators, you know. They lured me down to the creek with the promise of some marijuana and some new tennis shoes, you know. And I followed them down there, and the next thing I know, I'm waking up, you know, naked next to a creek, you know, split open all over my head and other spots of the body, you know. And it took over me right then and there. I remember laying there, mosquitoes eating me up. You know, they were gone by then. Did whatever they had to do, you know, and I just was so ashamed of what I had let myself become at that point. Not knowing the fact that it wasn't my fault, but you don't know that at 13, 14 years old. And it's one of the worst things that can ever happen to a young man or a woman, you know. And the booze and drugs from that day on didn't stop for 23 years, 24 years. I was in and out of plenty of places that gave me a chance to try to clean up my act, but I was addicted, man, and I was ashamed. And shame is a killer. It's the one thing that if you don't get rid of in your life, it'll drag you to the bottom and bring you to the grave, you know. So I toyed around with a few ways to make money, but you know, I was a good carpenter, but I couldn't stay sober enough to adhere to a job, you know. So I run into some guys that sold drugs and ran drugs on the other side of the border, and thought that was going to be my way out, you know. So I spent pretty much the better part of the next decade. Mind you, by then I was already a father too, you know, and trying to juggle that, which I had no really good idea what that looked like just because of my upbringing, you know. I come from a pretty broken home. My mother had 6 kids on her own with no men around except for, you know, a couple of not very speakable gentlemen, and they all pretty much dissipated and disappeared, and the family scattered after she went to the joint, you know. So I was on my own and didn't really know what it was to be a man. I was a boy. I was a boy till not too recently, long ago, you know. I mean, a lot of people look at you and they think because of your size and the way you look, you're a man. But if you don't have anything to judge what being a man or what a good person is on, you really just go with what you know. And what I knew was drug dealers and gangsters and thugs. And so that's what I kind of leaned towards, and I thought it would get me out. And it only drug me, you know, deeper and deeper to the bottom. You know, there's not really too many old drug dealers out there that have made it out without either ended up in prison or real close to death or dead. That's what it brings you.
They all have the same furniture in the same house, though.
Absolutely.
It's like that one is like still the same 70s. Like I was, you know, why? Through the hood like 6 months ago.
Because they can't afford to buy new shit.
Yeah. Same guys in the West Side, just old as hell, doing the same thing, selling the same weed and coke.
They're still there.
Yeah, still on the porch.
They're still there. They'll come to the meeting every now and then. You know what I mean? It's just me. I'll be in the parking lot. Really, they're just looking to try to sling some
same
dope.
bad jokes. What's up?
What's up? So yeah, you know, I was living in this misery, you know, and I wasn't aware of it. I really believed that most people on the planet, because I had no other thing to judge it on. I had no other experience to judge it on. Most people on the planet live like this. They just hid it under under the rug. I used to joke about, you know, and for some people this is true. You know, there's judges and people out there that all go through this addiction. It's just, you know, they have the avenues and the people that care about them that will tell them to their face, hey, we can help you. There is a place. I remember driving by these meetings, you know, from Narcotics Anonymous and AA meetings and making jokes about, you know, rehabs for quitters, you know, and that's exactly what the hell it is, you know. But where I come from, they teach you not to quit. You don't quit, Jack. You don't quit anything. It makes you weak. It makes you a target. It makes you less than. And so that's what I always believed. It's what I preach to my children even for decades, you know. You don't quit. I don't care what's going on. I don't care if it's a fight. I don't care if they're throwing you out. I don't care if it's a good thing. You don't quit. You don't quit. You make them fire. You make them throw you out. You know, that's just the mentality I was raised under. So, you know, when I got a chance to finally start to look at myself in the mirror, you know, my coach came and see me. The only person ever come. I went to prison finally. You know, I begged.
So coach, like football coach, basketball coach,
boxing
coach.
Yeah,
boxing.
Yeah, and you know, I had a pretty good chance at maybe making something out of myself as one.
Today, this morning, Mikey Hernandez, my cousin, amateur boxer, passed away this morning.
Oh, God rest his soul, man.
Alcoholism, man. I just want to give a shout out to Mikey, the rest of the family, my Aunt Delphina, everybody that's there. My cousin Jared actually died within 24 hours too. So wanted to let the family know, you know. But boxing, like you said, that was the one thing that kept him solid.
You know, and it was for me for about 3 years. You know, it was the one thing that I could always go to try to help. Because my coach, Dickie Woods, he wouldn't allow you to come in the gym if he thought you'd been messing around or using or anything. And I really he really thought that I had a talent. I thought I was getting better. But that money and the drugs and the life was calling me at every minute. You know, I would get a little bit of sobriety going, and I had an anger issue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That I didn't know the difference back then, what the difference between my feelings are hurt, my heart hurt, and being pissed off was, or being mad. Those emotions for men are hard to distinguish between the two. So with me, if you did either one of those things to me, you got the same reaction from us, you know? And so usually it was a violent one. And so, you know, I had assaulted a dude at a party up the Manitou Mustangs, football party. Guy was in the wrong, but I gave it to him and broke his face in about 4 or 5 spots, and Dickie threw me out of the gym for it, because we don't teach you to hurt people on the street. We teach you to defend yourself and to compete, you know. And if you want to act like a thug, I'm gonna throw you out like one. So he did. And so I thought to myself, you know, that's it. And so I turned my back on the gym and did the next best thing, went back to the street.
That hurt?
Still hurts. Still hurts. You know, I think about it every day still. You know, I try to do a little coaching, try to help a little bit to the younger kids. There's a couple clubs here in town that I visit, you know, that I help out with, and that gives me some relief, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, those are the dreams that this shit stomps out.
They always say lost dreams awaken, though, now, right?
Yeah, you know, and they are now. You know, for me now, just a chance to have my will back and my choice is enough to gets me up and doing the right thing, the next right thing every day. But the love of God and the love of my children, you know, I never ever planned on having kids because I didn't know how to deal with it. All of them came along unannounced and unplanned, you know what I mean? But I didn't know what love was on the planet because I had no idea. I didn't really experience it as a child. I mean, people said it to each other, but I didn't see any good examples of it. But when my daughters and my son were born, that's when I really thought, wow, this thing really is true. You know, it's really love. but I was such an addict by then, and I was so entranced in the street life and my ego and everything that I didn't know how to be a good dad to him. I was incapable of even recognizing that I was a bad dad. I would, do stuff in front of them that later on I would notice that I would brag about. Like I remember one time, selling drugs, and my oldest daughter, Kayla, she lives in Texas now. Pride and joy right there. Anyway, she was about 10 or 11. So by 10 or 11, I had already offended so many times in front of her with my anger that a guy came to the house and walked in, and she knew just by what she had heard out of me talking around her that this guy had it coming. And I remember thinking to myself, Kayla grabbed up all her siblings and her cousins and said, come on, right away. She seen him coming up the block and took him in the window or in the back room, and I did what I did in the living room while the kids are in the back. And I remember later on bragging about it. My daughter's a gangster. She knows when her dad's about to ass out, like she knows, and I thought about that as I've come up here, and had a clear mind, like that's abuse, that's wrong. I should have never, ever, ever have been proud of that. That was terrible for her to have to go through that, so for them forgiving me, bro, like has been the fuel and the fire. And my word to you, Tomas, that I gave you that day, you gave me a shot at this and nobody ever else did. And I saw something in you that I needed for myself. And we know each other's walk. Yeah. I knew where you came from the day I seen you, and I went, I see that dude over there doing this. And I'm gonna give him my word, because that's one of the things we get back in this.
I appreciate that, man.
I appreciate you, bro. I'm not sitting here with y'all.
You killed it. Like, a lot of stuff that we have in common is, those things about sports. I did boxing, but football was my thing. The day that I couldn't play again because I did something dumb downtown and got hurt, loaded. You know what I mean? I think about that every day because I can't play ball anymore. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's gone. It's gone. But the sobering fact, and I know where you're going with your daughter, is that's hard. Yeah. How many times my daughter went and visited me in the joint.
Not mine.
Then knowing where my guns and my stashes were and everything that I had in the house. I remember when she was trying to graduate early, she sat in the car and I gave her a lot of gas about quitting basketball, and she cussed me out. Cussed me out about how life is and what I did to her and why she doesn't do certain things because my example and all the things that I thought were cool, she didn't look to as cool when she finally got to, a conscious age. And she actually spit on my floor, got out of the car, slammed the door, and walked away. And I was so embarrassed by that, I just let her walk to school.
You got it.
And I had to wait. She didn't talk to me for about a month and a half. And then I finally got the courage to go grab her up and say, hey. But then she articulated it in another way. It was a whole lot more loving than the first time. But you know what I mean? I don't know if you've got that closure with your daughter. I'm sure that you have, but it's those part of those things in recovery. Those are the part of the things that me and you had in common a lot is what I respect you about, bro, is just that word that you say, never quitting. You still have that. Yeah. That tenacity and fight. You were a one and done. You didn't mess around. You got in. That's one thing in our program. We give you 8 million chances, right? But he came in, he shook my hand, and he did everything he was asked until the day that he left. The integrity, all that stuff. So, through everything that you've went through, people don't understand what it takes to get to where he came from, to where he's at today. But also there's a stereotype about integrity, about your word, about putting things together, about having the brain, having the strength, having the things to do those things that most normal people don't have. Yeah. And a recovering addict that has nothing does. And that's that misconception that this community has about those things. And he's a bleeding example of that. Sorry to interrupt you.
You're good, bro. No, you're good. I appreciate it. I need to hear good stuff about me because sometimes I forget to tell myself about stuff like that. The stuff he's speaking of, that integrity stuff, When I came here, I came straight from the street, from the hospital bed. I was on my deathbed, literally doctors and nurses in the corner when I wake up going, I can't believe he's alive. You know, I laid in bed in there for 15 days without drugs in me, awake because my lungs were so full of pneumonia that I couldn't sleep because I would cough every 45 seconds. 15 days of sleep deprivation without any kind of intoxicant will make you insane. The things I was going through in my mind, I attribute to God's way of showing me exactly where I was headed at the time. And I begged him to give me another chance. And I spoke with Nani the other night about this. I ain't spoke to too many people about it, but I laid there in that bed and finally got me about 45 minutes of sleep or so. I'm not exactly sure. And all of a sudden, something poked me in my wrist hard, like it felt like a nail, Tomas.
Yeah.
And it woke me straight out of bed. And it's the first sleep I got in 15 days. And I'm looking around and I'm energized and different right away. And I had been praying before I went to sleep. And I called the nurses in like something. I had a knot. And the nurses are going, we don't know what that is. And I'm like, I don't either, but am I having a blood clot? What's going on? I don't need more problems. You know what I mean, dog? Like, she's like, we don't know, but it doesn't seem to be anything that, you know, can harm you. So just try to relax, try to get some more sleep. We could tell you were resting. Right away, I went back to sleep and I slept for 7 hours straight. First time in 15 days. And the next day I thought to myself, I'm not going to lay here in this bed. I made God those promises, bro. Mm-hmm. And I've kept them and he's kept me. And like I told Nani, I have this vision of him like plucking me from the bed and going, now go. And so, you know, like I said, I used one more time after that, and the hallucinations and the crazy shit that was going on in my head afterwards, I just couldn't do it no more. So I reached out to my mom's friend, Rena. They were convicts together in the penitentiary, who has now started her own recovery business in the Springs, helped hundreds, thousands of people now. And I called her up and I said, I can't do it down here. You know, I lived in that town for 40 years, you know, as an addict. I'm 48, but, you know, 40 years straight as an addict. I can't go outside without running into somebody. I was a dealer, I was an addict, I was a thug. So I got a name, and not a good one, you know. And so I couldn't get straight. I couldn't get clean. So she sent me to a place called Pathfinders Recovery. And they took me in, and I did a 30-day there. And right around the time, about my third week, I knew I was getting ready to get let out. And I'd been hearing at the meetings about your place. And I talked to a couple people, Ginger, who was my friend for 20, my angel, my lady for 25 years. She came to Pathfinders, to Tribe, to the house over there. What is that? It's on. It's the first 30-day house you had.
In
Aurora.
Yeah, Ginger's a crazy story. We got to get back on here. Yeah, I was hunting her down on social media to try to in all the different rings. I was like, I had to hire her. Yeah, like you know how Ginger is.
An angel.
She's got it, man. Even when she's not even sure of herself, she doesn't even realize how much she's got it. It's like hilarious. Like, I can't do it. Yes, I can. Yeah. You know, like something's pushing her through the door and she keeps on doing it. So I'm glad that Ginger's the one that put her hand out, because that woman,
yeah,
you could bottle that up.
Telling you. She had heard I was at the 30-day house and my bed was jacked and I was in there and I was not doing well. I felt like I was back I hadn't been to prison in 10 years at that point. And I was like, I'm not a convict anymore. I really felt like I'm not a convict. I'm an addict. I'm not going back to no convict setting. You know, I was in there with some other convicts that had just come in, and I was just like, I was going to book. And she heard about it. And I called my house manager, Jeremy, and I said, I'm probably going to just head home. And Ginger showed up she drove from the Springs, came and showed up at Pacific. Yeah. And came in the driveway. I was trying to get my head about me. I was in there working out in the garage, and she pulled up and got out, and I was like, what? She's like, you know, I'll work the bed out for you. I'll get you a bed that you can sleep on, because I just come from the hospital with all these injuries that I got going on, and the bed that I had just wasn't working out. She goes, I'll get you a bed. If I can get you a bed today, will you stay? You need to stay. If you go back, you're going to die. And that's what it was. And she goes, she knows me from the street down there. I give you my word. I give you my word. Even when I was doing that, the only one I couldn't keep it to was myself.
Yeah. Usually how it works out, right?
Yeah. You know what I mean? So I told her I'll stay. She goes, give me your word. I said, I told you I'll stay. She said, I said, give me your word. I said, Ginger, if it kills me, I will stay. I give you my word today. She goes, you stay, you're going to live. And here I am. You know, she's my angel. But, you know, a lot of that stuff that I used from the street, you guys, if you're listening, you don't have to get rid of your you know, you put all of that stuff into gang banging and street life and keeping your word to the homies.
Yeah.
You can use that as a tool here.
Absolutely.
And you can do it in a positive way. I don't get those phone calls in the middle of the night to please go collect this money anymore. Please go swoop this dude up that slapped this girl I know. Please go get this guy that ripped you off. I don't have to look for my gun under my pillow in the morning.
Right.
I don't have to do any of that. I get to keep my word to myself, and I get to answer the phone, and I get to show up and do stuff like this today. I get to keep my word to a good dude that saved my life. You know, I get to give back to the people who are suffering out there. If you are, and you're hearing this, hear me now. Give yourself a chance. You know, it's, I promise you this, everything that you have been doing to get to watch this video, the misery that has been created in that is harder than what you will do here. The seat that I earned in Narcotics Anonymous ain't nothing, because the misery I was in before I came here left me without a chair anywhere.
Yeah.
There was nobody to talk to. I couldn't get on the telephone and say, I'm feeling like today. What can I do?
Yeah, the articulation of like, you could have a Pulitzer Prize speech, and then you send it to the same people that you broke them down, and it don't matter.
It don't matter.
It don't matter a word. It's all about action.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's what I do today. I'm built on failure. So even if I had a hater, so I'm like, get in line. Get in line, man, because my whole kingdom is built on failure. It's built on failure. It's built on failure every day. I'm going to fail as soon as I wake up in the morning because I got PTSD. I'm going to fail as soon as I wake up in the morning with my ADHD thoughts, my paranoia, my getting, you know, being non-spiritual one day, doing what I have to do. I'm going to fail, but I got to figure out how to heal. Then once I figure out how to heal for that split second, then I got to learn how to win. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I'm going to fail again, and I'm going to win again, and I'm going to fail again. And that's recovery. And that's what's great about taking those street cred, street knowledge. The cred you can get rid of. The knowledge is impeccable.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because what you have is you have critical thinking. All of us score high on the charts on critical thinking.
Absolutely.
You know
Off
what I mean?
the charts.
Yeah, like when they said COVID, you remember that? And everybody was like, I feel like I'm like high again for like 5 days at Walmart.
Yeah.
Like looking for toilet paper.
I
And
know.
all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I remember we used to have a buddy, Jason, and we go to the tool area and he'd pick up 2 hammers. What was in Walmart, I have no idea, but we'd go shopping and he'd have 2 hammers at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What in the hell?
Like, nobody's going to run up on us.
Nonsense. That we convince ourselves is okay. I look great.
Yeah.
Hiding behind a
dress
flagpole.
shoe sweats and a Fox racing shirt on.
Yeah.
With sunglasses. And
I'm sweating like it's all bad, you know. I love the saying, you know, show me who you show me who you walk with, I'll tell you who you are. You know, you surround yourself with misery, and you will live in it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And you will become part of it. And you won't, half the time, you won't even know that you're miserable. You know, as you're just going through those daily, routines of the misery from yesterday and the fall off from last night. And it's just it's a never ending cycle of misery. You know, like I was reading this book from this real spiritual guy we all know about, Buddha, and he's talking about, you know, the pain of life is inevitable, and the pain of it's miserable. You know, it's going to happen. You're going to have pain, and it's the same thing in this addiction, but the suffering from it is optional. You know, you can totally opt out. There isn't nothing wrong with being a quitter now. And I know that. I joined a big group of them. Yeah. There's a family of us all around the world, and we all got the same thing in common. Yeah. What I love about the program the best is my ability to actually get honest in a room full of people and share the stuff that has been shameful to me. Like, the thing with the guys when I was 13 down by the creek, I didn't tell nobody about that up until about a year ago. And it was holding me hostage on a daily basis. Shame is a killer. But you can get rid of it. You can throw that bag away. You can come into Narcotics Anonymous and you can admit to everything you've ever done, and no one in that place will ever shun you or turn you away. They will give you a hug and ask you back. They'll give you a phone list, tell you, call me tomorrow if you're feeling bad about this, you need to talk to somebody. Yeah. And 24 hours a day, you can find somebody on the internet to go to a meeting, to speak to, and you can build your recovery and a new life around
Absolutely.
this.
There's a thing that I was reading the other day that I use a lot of 12 steps even in business.
Yeah.
So there's a gentleman, there's a gentleman
too.
named Andrew Carnegie. He has a thing called Gospel of Wealth. He spends 5 minutes a day. So he went from $1 to billions and billions of dollars in like the early 20s, 30s. And what this gentleman did was he takes 5 minutes a day and he manifests his dreams, and he talks and he coaches himself to be the very best version of himself.
Absolutely.
That's truly recovery, what we're talking about. When you do a 12-step book, you're manifesting your new thoughts and your old thoughts, and you're putting yourself in line to where you're going now.
Yeah.
You're understanding what you were doing in the past. Now you're moving forward. And what Mr. Carnegie was talking about was basically, I can tell myself what my future is going to be. Look at addiction.
Yeah.
You could tell yourself what you're going to do, what gang you're going to be in, how you're going to get it done. You could basically, I remember that before I was getting arrested, I could feel it 2 weeks before I was about to get
absolutely.
cracked. You know that feeling?
An hour.
It's going to, something bad's about to happen.
It's on its way.
It's on its way. It's coming. You know what I mean? And that's that manifestation of that. But on the power of the positive end, I don't care how many people, like my sponsor, we talked about that committee.
Yeah.
You know, that committee in your mind,
it's convening on a minutely basis.
I'm not letting the committee beat me today. What is my higher purpose? I'm going to manifest myself to heal. And, my loved ones that I have, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In my life, my very closest. And I'm talking a broad stroke all the way down from marriage to mom to kids to whoever's in my life, to my sponsor, to everything. You know what I mean? Will see me on my worst days. And I don't know if he's going to make it today. But through recovery, that manifestation of your mind, of making sure that you stay in that higher purpose, that you get taught in 12 steps.
Absolutely.
You can apply that to everything, because I could be in the trenches. I could get a text from Nani, gives it to everybody in the morning. You see that, oh, hi. Somebody in recovery is right there.
And they care for you.
Exactly. She has a group text to everybody. Oh, hi. Or she'll
we
give
love
you
Nani.
Individual one. You know what I mean? Then my sponsors and all that kind of stuff, that recovery community, that's a whole manifestation of that whole process. Like, people don't understand why that community is so tight. Like, some people that would be normal would be like, why are they hugging each other and saying they love you so much? It's weird, right?
Yeah.
No, that's that manifestation of that process. Because if I didn't have that when I sat in that chair, I didn't even know how to love me.
Yeah.
I couldn't afford a pack of cigarettes. You know how many plates of food I ate for free that first year? How many cigarettes I went through? How many bus passes and rides? And people gave me opportunities for jobs.
That's humility and training right there. Yeah. To be able to accept, because we all are told to do it ourselves. You're a weakling if you can't do it yourself. You don't need to ask for help. You need to do it yourself. And those are dangerous words. If you're telling your kids that, please quit. It's real dangerous stuff, because we will not get down the road by ourselves.
Yeah.
We need each other as human beings. If they take a human being from its mother and completely isolate it from human contact, it dies. Mm-hmm. We are connected all the way around the world, black, white, orange, purple, green. We are connected. We are all one. And so we don't get better without each other. And that's exactly what I love about the place. You know, I like to walk in there and I learn stuff from 19-year-old kids coming in fresh off the street, fresh off of a hit. And they'll say some powerful knock me on the ground shit. You know what I mean? Stuff. Sorry, I did it again. But I mean, it's serious. It's heavy stuff because it's so raw and it's so true. And I need to see that, you know, because it brings me back to that moment. I need to revisit that moment when I checked in from time to time, so that it reminds me now that's where I'm going back. If I go pick up, if I go have that beer, because you know, there's. You know, I got 20 months, finally.
That's awesome, man.
I'm not gonna lie and sit here and say that the urge goes away, because I don't think it ever will. But my craving and my ability to not control myself from stepping out of all the good stuff I got going on right now and closing the door on the love that I've been shown by the program, by God, by my family, and the acceptance of what I really am had to really come to. That all goes away at the toss of that, shutting that door and going to the bar and having that one drink, or going and smoking a joint or any of that. It's all the same to me. I can't use anything responsibly ever again, and I know that.
Yeah.
Finally,
I can't do anything responsibly.
I was telling Nani earlier. Yeah, exactly.
So I've accepted that I don't do anything responsibly. I just do it very repetitively and fix it as I go.
Exactly. You know, I took a big chunk. Remember when we picked up together? We picked up that we got the same like clean day. We picked up together. He got his 10 and I got my 1 at the same time, you know.
It was dope.
And he was talking about, you know, I keep a notebook with me at all times. And I thought to myself, I should start trying that. I got 10 of them stacked up already.
It's awesome, isn't it?
In a year. I can just go and lay that stuff out. And I have to revisit it. Like on Sundays when I'm bored after church, I'm like thinking about what I should be doing, what I could be doing. And I'll go grab one of them books from a year ago and read what was going through my
I'm telling you.
You know, my heart and my mind,
bro,
and,
when I see
it shows me how much better I'm getting. I'm just like, God, thank God.
Man, I met this guy in Boyle Heights. I went and got this kid in Skid Row. Took him down to San Diego. I came back up. It was a quick trip. I had to go halfway to San Diego. Came back to LA. Long story short, I'm in Boyle Heights, and I go to this meeting in Hollywood, and we end up going to this guy's house in Boyle Heights. Old school veterano, straight up. Bunch of prison time, this and that, but he had this office, and like you could tell he did time but it was old school hacienda, and he put a lot of pride in his recovery, and he loved his home. So his gardening, everything, and just the way California looks, you know, with the squares in the back, you kind of have doors everywhere from the offices. He invited me into his office, and he had this big chest, and it was so organized on his thoughts of his notebooks. Like that was like his true passion. Like what he said, he was like, my kids are gonna know me.
That's exactly what I was getting ready to say. I'm saving them for them when I, you know, because they didn't get to see a lot of me, bro, when they were growing up. If I wasn't on the road, working for those guys over the border, I was out doing the street. And I was never a guy that wanted them to. I grew up watching what it was. I seen what it was. I was influenced by the stuff that was done in front of me as a child. And I definitely know now that I even knew then when I was addicted that I didn't want them seeing that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they still ended up getting a chunk of it, but nowhere near what they didn't see the worst parts. But that being said, they didn't get to see me either very much. You know what I mean? So they're going to get to know me through those notebooks. At some point in time when I feel like I've evolved enough, I will let them share it. You know what I mean? But, you know, as of now, I just want to say one thing too. Caleb, Haley, Lacey Matlock, your father is so proud of you. This is all for you, baby girl. Son, they say the first year is for us and the rest is for you. This is for you. You know what I mean? I would not be here without you guys and the love and the acceptance and the forgiveness that you've given me. So everything that I get these days is all from you. You guys saved me more than I ever saved you. And you've taught me more. You guys are amazing. And Haley, keep going, girl. She's the first one to go to college in the Matlock family.
That's awesome.
So she's working on her paper right now, probably watching this. I shared it before we left, or before we started. I just wanted to say that because
that's good,
I love
man.
my kids,
you know,
man.
every year, like we were talking about, and I got the 2 key tags. I give one to my daughter.
Yeah.
You know, the first
I
time
give one to my mom.
Yeah, my daughter. You see the story. Like, you know, I'm during a homicide case. I meet this kid. I'm taking care of this kid. I knew she was my angel from then.
Right.
You know what I mean? They came and seen me out at the pen 8 million times. She's the one that picked my rehab from the last time. She picked it on her laptop. So yeah, every time I go get that key tag, Amaya gets one.
Yeah.
Every time. And I got 10 of them for her.
That's
About
tight.
to go on this 11,
That's
you know what I
so
mean?
cool.
So that right there, when people say, I'm doing it for my kids, let's make it clear. We're doing it for us so our kids can reap the benefits and feel
Absolutely.
the worth of me handing that to Amaya. Amaya knows that I've worked hard for me, but she knows that I still remember that day. Those 5 minutes, that hours and hours of her crying that I wasn't coming home, that I wasn't home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Those times, that's what it's for. But I still have to do the work. I can't do it for my kids.
Yeah, it doesn't
I
quit
have to
tomorrow.
do it for me that interjects that piece for those kids, if that makes sense. I go through a lot of stuff today, you know what I mean? A lot of things, you know, there's a lot of, you know, we're so high on crime right now.
I know. It's
Everybody's killing each other. You know, I lost 2 cousins coming into town. You know, Mikey, I looked up to him crazy. I was just talking about a story about Mikey, about boxing. You know, we're probably going to talk about it at the funeral. He was one of the fastest things on earth. Remember the West Side backpacks?
Yeah, of course.
Guy tried to tell him that he couldn't, Mikey didn't have it no more. He said, put all your money out on the table. So Mikey puts, you know, Mikey says, so this guy, Kenny, puts all his money on the table. He's got like $247 some change. Starts clowning him. He still was like that. And he goes, I'm gonna thread the needle on you. He goes, you better be ready. He goes, Kenny, I'll give you 1 shot. Kenny puts his hands up, gives 1 shot. This guy won the Tommy Hearn Classic. Like, he's got over 500 amateur fights. This is my cousin. But now he's got the beer belly with the West Side backpack. Hit him with a 5-piece, knocked Kenny straight out. Took his West Side backpack, took all the
And his money.
Yeah, and his 22 can of beer left. You know what I mean?
That hurts.
You know, yeah, those are those things. But you know what I mean? It's you know, you still got memories of things from the past. But, you know, you are a shining light and a leader. Like, how many times have you fixed stuff in our homes? That's one thing is everybody's got to understand is like, we're in a pinch. That's what's about the community that we have with him. We could give a call and I know I can get anything in that house fixed. And he's not going to rake me for it. He's going to tell me to go grab the stuff because in turn, he knows that that person that's in that house doesn't need to see a hole in the wall, doesn't need to have a toilet that's broken, doesn't have to have the things that are messed up because those are the things that are important to us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We need to be treated just like human beings, just
That's
like
right.
the next person. You know what I mean?
Because we are. You know, we're not mistakes. We just made some. You know, my grandmother used to say, you know, that, you know, mistakes are in place for a reason, grandson. And it's not the mistake that you make that people judge you on. It's what you do to make up for it that they cherish forever. You know, and you know, when you give up that life, you know, right away. You start realizing all those mistakes that you made, and they can weigh you down for a minute. You know, if you just do the work, trust the process, and learn to follow the rules, and 100%.
Yeah.
Don't, you know, we're rule breakers. That's what's got us down this road. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Tribe Recovery had a reputation of being one of the highest, you know. One of the biggest ones that were, you know, that would hold you to yourself and to your rules, and that's why I picked them. It's not so much just a rehab and a sober living home as it is a behavior modification program. Okay, because if you can't follow the rules there, you will not make it out here. Because life is 5 times harder than anything you will encounter in there. So I walked the line there because I needed to learn to do it again. As simple as that. You know what I mean? It gave me a place to start to practice to be a human being again and not an animal.
It's cool though, right?
You know?
Because you know, like how we first started was, man, I didn't know what I was doing. I had 4 guys.
Yeah.
And we had an apartment. We had an apartment, you know. We just put the place together and lived together. And then Dan was my using buddy. And I couldn't even work with him the first year because we had the same mentor, and he met me down the road when I got my 2-year coin, and he jumped in the ride, and we never thought we were going to get to treatment. We just kept on fulfilling more need, and being together with family, and that's what's crazy about it. Like, we got a lot of the staff on there. Happy birthday, Deborah! I will be there to bring you something tomorrow. By the way, I see you on here. Happy birthday! Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, Deborah!
Yes, but like Deborah, she's been like, that's a perfect example. She's been serving the community after her battle with addiction and law enforcement and everything like that, and ran one of the best programs in the state. God rest that program's soul. It was a great place, the Haven. One of the loves of Nani's life too, and everything like that. And but it still lives through us. That's what's cool about recovery. Yeah. You coming from those places, those parks, man. They got parks everywhere, all over the place. Like, and it doesn't change. There's right off Washington, right, like 4 blocks from the staff house where we have in Las Vegas. It's another park right there. It's the same thing as in Springs. It's the same thing in Denver. You know what I mean? It's the same communities. You know what I mean?
Just a pot of misery.
But you know what? That togetherness, that's that spice what Tribe's about. If you look past everything, right? The stereotypes, the addiction, the person that's has dirty feet, that's kind of acting erratic, that's maybe talking crazy, irrational. But if you look, there's a community there of people that are trying to trust and love each other.
Yeah.
They're trying to survive. And if you could bottle that and just start there and build on that failure that I'm talking about, manifest from that failure with inspiration of others, like how me and you have inspired each other.
Yeah.
Like you inspire me the same way. You know what I mean? The same way. That I know I didn't do it for nothing. The worst thing you do is you get sober and then you lose everybody and you did it for nothing, right?
And it fills my heart to be able to show you that, bro.
Yeah, mine too, man.
That stuff's infectious.
I love coming back to Denver, man. There's a place in Denver or in Colorado, 2 places. One right by the building, and on Buckley and Iliff, I could sit on that corner right there, and we have so many houses in that area.
Yeah.
I can have coffee and watch all of our community going to work in cars and buses and doing everything. I could sit there and watch our whole community just rocking it in the morning. Or I could catch somebody that messed up the night before and take them back to the house. Call somebody, he's over here, man.
Hey,
he's right here at
that's what it is. That's what it is. You never know when it's going to happen either. I'm working this little, I'm doing really well. For a job, and
talk about that, man.
Okay, yeah. So like I said, I was always a good carpenter, and I've owned a couple of businesses in my past as a framer, and as a home remodeler, and I worked for several big commercial companies over the years, but I always had the monkey on my back, and those guys. We can only show up for so long, you know what I mean, when you're like that. And so, I had bad attendance here and there. I did have, a pretty good stint of clean time under parole from 2013 to about 2016. And, had the divorce, all of that, you know what I mean, and fell off. But I was always real good at it. It's just always kind of been my niche. And so when I come, I'm living in one of Thomas's houses, doing my 9 months, 22 it was, and I took I never had trouble finding work, but I didn't want something where I had to be in a lead position because I had all these other things going on and I was trying to get better. So I just reached out to a temp agency who sent me to do some construction cleanup at a mall in Park Meadows, and I run across this older dude named Luke, which is really strange because my best friend who OD'd, God rest his soul, 21 years ago last month, his name was Luke. And so me and this guy already got something in common, and we just kind of fit together, right away. And so we did that store together, and he paid me pretty well. I got out and got my own place up here in Denver, and about, I don't know, I think it was probably right around May, he called and said, "Hey man, you want to come on the road with me and start building these stores?" and I'll take care of you. He said, how much money do you think it would cost me to get you out here? And I said, I don't know, man. What were you thinking? He goes, no. I'm gonna hold your feet to the fire here. What do you think you're worth? I told him, when I gave it up last time, I was making on my own. If I charged a person an hourly rate, it was no less than $60 an hour. He goes, I'll give you 65. He said, I'll pay you. I'll pay you every week. I'll take care of your travel, and I'll give you an extended stay apartment in every city we visit, and we'll go from there. And so I flew out, did a store with him in July, came back, and I just didn't want to sit around. So I got back in touch with another friend here in Denver who does temporary. They do temp guys for people who need maintenance on their apartment buildings. So I just do that on the side while I'm here, and we just signed a contract for 13 more stores. I leave the second week of next month. My first store is in Dallas. The next store is in Hawaii.
Nice.
So yeah. I'm doing the damn thing, and I'm going to be able to give those kids the life I never had. Finally, they've also all, this was one of the main things I wanted my children, if they were infected by this, and a few of them were, by this disease that I probably infected them with. Mm-hmm. They were all smoking pot, and my son, he was drinking. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, before I forget, you get to Hawaii, remember a place called, I want to give them a shout out. It's called Habilitat. It's in Kona.
Yeah, Reno was telling me about that.
Yeah, I dupe people sometimes like, yeah, you're going to paradise, and they're real pain in the butt. And I get them to Kona, and they're stuck on an island for 2 years. But, you know what I mean? But that place is a working program.
Oh, really?
So if you guys need workers out there when you're in Hawaii, make sure you get a hold of Habilitat.
Don't let me forget to pick that up, because we're always looking for guys. Yeah. This guy's good about that. You know what I mean? This guy, Luke. So I'll definitely get that information from you. But, I wanted my kids to get a vision of somebody that was like me and was as sick and on his deathbed, of what can happen if you do ask for help, because we're told you can do this on your own our whole lives, you know what I mean? And I preached that to them. So, I want them to know that if they ever have this kind of affliction and they need the help, that it is out here and it does work. And there is no shame in doing it. There's only shame in not doing it. And it's a heavy bucket of it. But, 90% of it really starts to dissipate just once you admit to yourself and you give it in, and you come to a place that's therapeutic. They sent me to a mansion. I'm not going to lie. I went from staying in my mother's back room of a 1-bedroom apartment in one of the worst parts of the city to a 9-bedroom house with five bathrooms and jacuzzis, and it was beautiful. It was therapeutic as it comes, and and not only that, if you go there and you put your foot forward and you let the people out front see you, you'll get some more benefit by being a leader. They put me in house captain position right away because they seen I was serious, and that helped a lot with my confidence and my ability to actually get my life back and be a leader and be a boss again. Those are things that go away as soon as you start to, become that. Like I was telling Nani, I just barely last 2 years, I've been shooting dope and drugs in my veins since I was 14 years old, and never admitted it to myself or out loud until I came to this program. Mm-hmm. And I did it every day, sometimes for 7 years. Crazy to me how that engulfment of that, just the action of it is just so blinding to yourself, and it's such a shame. But through that, I've been able to be honest with myself and with other people. Mm-hmm. And I was working this job, like I was telling Tomas, and this kid came in chewing on his face at work, and I went, oh God, I can't be around this guy. And I had to go to him and tell him the second day, look, dude, you're cool and I like you, but you're jacked and I'm in recovery, and like I can't be around you. You're too. So you're gonna have to go. Too much. Yeah, you're high, Jack. And I can't stand it anymore. You got a 50-yard stare, and we're in a 10 by 10 room. Like, get away from me. You have to go to another crew. And I felt bad about it because he really kind of taken to me. You know what I mean? They'll attach themselves. hey, bro, can you teach me this? Teach me this. And he has skills, you know? And I said to him, you know, I'll help you if you help yourself, Jack, you know? He goes, what do you mean? I said, you need some help, bro. You need to go check it in. If you don't think that that what you're doing is obvious to other people, you're the only one you're fooling, bro, because everybody here knows. And everybody from 10 feet knows. Anywhere you go, we all know. He goes, it's that obvious? I said, of course it is, my brother. It's pouring snow and you're sweating. Wiggling around and making faces at me, man.
Three pairs of sweats.
And so, you know, it was only 3-4 days, man. And he called me and said, bro, where's that place at? And so I told him, and he's been there, and he's got 90 days. I'm sponsoring him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
90 days is huge.
Yeah,
90 days is huge, guys.
Yeah,
if you're sitting there and you're listening, you're going, 90 days ain't nothing. 90 days is the hard part,
Yeah,
Jack.
it is. 90 and 90?
Yeah. 90 and 90,
Let me
but it
tell
will
you that.
save your life.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're just coming in, like they say, sit down, shut up.
90
Listen.
days, 90 meals, 90 cigarettes.
Yeah.
That's how to kind of like.
That's
'cause I
pretty
could-
good.
Yeah, I was like, I would
90
have to,
cigarettes.
Yeah. I couldn't even afford a pack. I was like, at least I'll get 90 cigarettes.
Are you
in
still
90
smoking?
days. No,
No.
I just smoke cigars.
Just cigars. I saw
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I was like, I can get 90 cigarettes and I can get a lot of meals out of that because I ain't got no money and I might be able to manipulate somebody into a job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was kind of the things that I had to come up
That's
with.
an addict brain right
Yeah,
there.
exactly.
Maybe I could slide over and get in here just like this with this and this in hand. You know, that's I don't think those parts of me will ever go away. And
Yeah.
I'm glad to recognize them in myself now, though.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be able to look in the mirror and go, hey, you better take your ass to the meeting. Your butt to the meeting. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You know, like as soon as I walk through the door, whatever has been on my mind that day, it's gone. I don't know what happens to it, where it goes, but as soon as I'm with my people and I'm in that door, it's a miracle and it's waiting to happen for you. So just, you know, it's not going to hurt
right.
you. It's not going to hurt you.
So we're not mistakes. We just made some.
That's right, brother.
I like that quote. So that's going on my wall.
I love that too.
That's right. Time flies when we're talking recovery, and there's never enough time to tell somebody's story. So I want to thank you for taking your time to be here.
Anytime, bro.
Thank you for sharing with us.
Thanks for having
and
me.
with 20 months, that means we definitely have to check in with you again after year 3.
Yeah.
See where you're at then.
You guys call me, and I'm in Geneva at 2 a.m. You call me, I'll be on the first flight back.
Yeah, we're trying to figure that part out too to do it mobile. So
I'm down.
that'd be great if you're like in Kona or something and we can just get you right online. That'd be awesome.
I'm down, bro.
That'd
I'm
be
down
good.
for you.
Yeah.
All right. Do some great work while you're out and about. Enjoy Hawaii too. Like
gonna.
hit a beach.
I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying the fact, like, I ain't seen my oldest daughter. She's 32, and my grandkids, I ain't seen them in 5 years.
Oh man.
I mean, I've seen them on
It is.
FaceTime and stuff like that, but I ain't seen them in 5 years. So I'm going to Dallas, March.
Oh, that's better than
second
Hawaii.
week of March. I'm going down there. We're going to go to Corpus Christi and kick back. I'm going to see my grandkids. I'm going to see my 32-year-old daughter, who I'm so proud of. She's accounting, got an accounting degree. She's running construction company. Like I used to take her to the job with me, and she'd haggle my workers. You know, you better. This job looks terrible. My dad's gonna freak out. You know, you're missing that. You know, she'd tell him when she was a kid. So I'm so proud of her, and I'm so glad you'll get to see her. The joys of recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our guest has been Karry Matlock from Colorado Springs. He is a Tribe Recovery alumni. 20 months. Congratulations
Thank you,
on that
guys.
upcoming 2 years.
Thank you.
And Mahai, we want to thank you for being a part of this program. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please follow us on YouTube and Facebook. And if you've missed any portion of this program, you can find it in its entirety at flowdenver.com and jammin1015.com or wherever you listen to your podcast. So make sure that you subscribe to our podcast and keep checking us out, because we're here to keep spreading the story that, yes, recovery does happen. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to our guest, Karry Matlock,
Thanks for having me.
Tribe Recovery Homes, and of course, this is Sharing Our Stories.